Good day. Chief here for Chief Coffee Chat. As I said last week, I went to the Ukraine, and this week I'm going to concentrate mostly on the trains themselves. I started planning my trip about June, looked at it in July, and then late July it was like, I better look at this train situation because I can't fly into Kyiv. So I figured, well, I'll go to Warsaw, since Poland's right next door, and take the train. Well, come to find out that, yeah, there is trains that do run. And I previously had observed that a couple other YouTubers that I occasionally listen to, they're both ex-military, and they looks like one copied the other. I don't know if that's true or not, but one went over and got to be with the Legion, the Freedom Legion or whatever they call themselves. So he got to go on the front line, and the other guy, I don't know exactly what he did because I don't watch him that much, but I noticed that he also went over to Ukraine too. So, yeah. I knew the risk, but I needed to take this journey. So, got online, looked at all the things, and then finally found a business that sold the tickets. Now, what's strange to me is that they're not located in Warsaw itself. So they do all this ticketing by where they could have mailed them to me, but I didn't want to trust international mail, probably get the tickets after I leave because I don't know how long international mail would take. They don't use email, and they don't use cell phones. You have to have a physical ticket. Fine. So the arrangement to get my tickets, so to speak, because I had to order them both at the same time and get them delivered at the same time, was that they went to a UPS store in Warsaw. So ordered my tickets, or got online, inquired about the tickets. They said, well, since you're a foreigner, you can order your tickets 40 days in advance. Everybody else is supposed to wait 20 days. So between that 40 and 20 day window, I ordered my tickets and did not get a cabin or a cabin to myself, or a berthing room, berth room to myself. So I got a 4-man or 4-person sleeping area, berth car. And so after that, ordered my tickets, then I played with my air route to coincide with my tickets. Ordered the tickets, paid for them, and they said, okay, we'll wait further instructions until we send you detailed instructions about how to pick up your tickets. Well, those didn't come till almost a week prior to my trip, so I was kind of getting a little antsy about it, but I realized also that at the same time they were mailing them to a UPS, and I guess a UPS can only hold packages for so long before they have to ship them back. Because I even got a message saying that if I didn't pick them up by the day after the start trip, they would have been shipped back, which was really strange. So I flew into Warsaw, walked over to a taxi guy, and he's like, yeah, I speak English, and I showed him the ticket. Oh, yeah, we know that place. So it seems to be quite frequent that a lot of people use this UPS store to get their tickets and get on the train. And had to take an overnight train, or evening in the Poland side, and then night to mid-morning on the Ukraine side. So get to the train station, got time to kill after getting my tickets, and almost missed the train because I kept looking at my number. Oh, my number hasn't been saying which platform it's going to be on. So I almost missed my train. That would have really ruined the whole trip. Got there just in time to get onto the car, and the guy's like, "Well, this is the wrong car. Your car is all the way in the back." So I had to trip over some suitcases as we went from car to car to car to car to get to my seat. And when I finally got there, there was 4 other individuals, and my bag, there was no room to stick it up because they had like a rack about yay wide, and my suitcase is that wide. And not that it would have stood upright the whole trip, especially with the stopping. So that would have been a disaster. So I had to sit out in the hallway along with everybody else that I was tripping over. And there were, like I said, 5 individuals, including myself. We had a Russian girl who was dominating the conversation with the Polish man. She was Russian because she spoke mostly Russian. And she spoke a little bit of German and probably a little bit of Polish, because occasionally I would hear, "That's German." And so she dominated the conversation. She was the first one to get off. Then the gentleman did. Then the lady across from me got off. And then we went to the town of Chelm, Chelm. And we stopped at this, we were on like a light rail. Very nice compartment, nice train, nice light rail. We stopped at first location in Chelm. And it was well lit, but nobody was standing outside to get onto this train anymore because we were at the end of the line anyway for this line. And finally, the girl next to me, who had never spoken a single word, she looks over at me, she's sitting next to me, and she goes, "Are you going to Kyiv?" I go, "Yes." And come to find out, she was on a business trip. That's why she was on the train. She says she does this like 2 or 3 times a month, so she knew the routine. So I'm looking out the window, and she goes, "Oh, by the way, this is not our stop. Ours is the next stop." So we stopped there. I don't know if anybody got off at this first stop, first to last stop, and then we got off, or went to the next location. It was well lit, but it was out in the boondocks. There wasn't really any houses or businesses near us. And so she says, "Yeah, we get off the train here and we walk over there." And then as we walked out, there was Soviet-era choo-choo train sitting there. So the old-style berths. She says, "Oh, my car's here." She looked at my ticket. "Oh, you're at the start. You're at the front," which is really the back because the way it was facing, but it didn't matter the way the cars are numbered. So got there. Showed my ticket. Lady looked at me. She didn't even hardly look at my passport. She just looked at my ticket. I got on the train. I was in the first compartment for berths. and I had to lower, and there was a female sitting across from me. I'm like, okay. I did have to put my age, and I did have to put my sex. Okay. So she left. And then another female came in who spoke English. She was a business lady from Brussels, Belgium, who was Ukrainian, and she was going on her business trip to go talk to her worker bees in Kyiv. She says, "I do this once a month," but she runs her business from Brussels. So we spoke a lot of English, and she's the one that informed me that Charlie Kirk had been killed, like that day. I think that was the 10th, because I did arrive on the 11th. No big deal. So we talked for a while until the other lady came back in. And what was really strange is that this second female, she said, "Yeah, I picked this particular cabin because there was a man in here." I didn't want her to expound on that because I didn't want to hear any strange stuff. I guess she figured with the man she would have better protection from what I don't know. So we talked for a bit, made our beds, and she was a bunk up above me, so to speak. No, I wasn't going to be a gentleman and give her mine because, it was a struggle to get up there. Because it's just wide enough for us to walk in, make our beds, lay down. So I rode the rough track, so to speak, because some parts were nice and smooth, nice and quiet. You heard the singing of the wheels. and others where, you heard the chunk, and all that roughness. And we got into Kyiv at 10:45 the next day. So when I went to the hotel, as I said last week, there was another American showed up. Well, he went to Przemysl, which is further south, and he said he rode a more modern train cars from that route, and he says hardly any rough stuff whatsoever. But he looked just as haggard as I did, because I guess he couldn't sleep either on his train or that. So on the return trip, I had time to kill again, because now we're riding it on the Ukraine side. We're riding at night, and then early morning on the Polish side. So got in another car, got in almost the same number car, it seemed like, and had the berth opposite of the one I had previously on the lower level. This time I rode with 3 females, and the only one that spoke English is the one that was on the lower side. And again, another businesswoman with beauty products and stuff like that. She was going to, I think she said Paris and Italy, something like that. So she spoke English, and so we made our beds as soon as we got on, because it was already like, what was it, 8 o'clock at night? Yeah, it was 8 o'clock or about 7:30 when we boarded. And these trains are well traveled. I mean, they're filled. I mean, this one was like, I don't think there was an empty berth. So we spoke English for a while, until about an hour, and everybody finally went to sleep, so to speak, or tried to sleep again. But this time when we got to Chelm, we were in a industrial area, because there was warehouses. They were rebuilding things, and she told me, because I rolled up when the sun, or when the sky excuse me, when the sky started light, and dude that were further north, because you get the sunshine a little bit earlier. So I mean, it started lightening about 5:30, and so I rolled up my stuff, and she goes, "Oh no, we still got an hour and a half on this train," So I tried to rest, and then it wasn't even like 15 minutes that we were at a stop, and she goes, "Yeah, this is our last stop," but the babushka, the lady that runs the car, said that we could stay on the train because the weather was not all that good outside, because it was gloomy. Looks like it was going to rain. It did rain eventually. So we could not be out in the elements. Well, about a half hour after that, the female told me, she goes, "Oh yeah, now we got to get off, because the babushka basically said, brutally told us to get off." So we ended up, like I said, it was like a different route, so to speak. I mean, yeah, we got probably on the same route to get back into Warsaw. So that was an experience. Last time I was on an overnight train was all the way back in my first assignment days, riding the train between Berlin and Frankfurt, because we could only ride that one at night, so that way we couldn't spy on the Soviets back then. So if you want a old Soviet train riding, take the route from Chelm to Kyiv. If you want the modern cars, take from Przemysl to Kyiv. So, Chief out for this coffee chat. Soviet era trains. Yeah. And remember, freedom's not free. You know what to do to a veteran.